First depth chart of the season, baby. Let's take a look at it. The Minnesota Vikings have released their first unofficial depth chart for the 2022 season, more or less the 2022 preseason. Let's not waste any time. Let's take a look at it.
Let's waste a little bit of time, though, because we need you guys to like this video, leave us a comment, and more importantly, subscribe to our channel. We are GG Sport podcast of the Minnesota Vikings. Also hit the bell, get notifications more of our videos. We're bringing up the quality here. We're going to keep making better content. We're going to an excited season, starting with this unofficial potential roster. Let's go.
All righty. So starting off, starter, Kirk Cousins. We know that. Backup, this is hilarious. The fact that they had to put Kellen Mond in capital letters. This is straight off the Vikings website, by the way. And in capital letters, or Sean Mannion.
They're good for the preseason thing. This is a preseason. Whoever plays better in the preseason is getting backup quarterback.
I'm going to move in just a little bit here. Sorry about that. Nope, that's too far. Sorry. All right. Anyway, I just think that's hilarious. Very self-aware of the Vikings media team here. So moving on, running backs. So Delvin Cook, backup. Now I assume for backups they go in the order that they are in the line.
At least that's how we're going to portray this.
Yep. So Alexander Madison, of course, Kenny Nwangwu, Ty Chandler, and then Bryant.
So no surprises. No surprises.
Nope, no surprises at all. Yeah. So, and again, we'll see a lot of Kenny and Ty probably in the preseason here. Fullback CJ Ham, and then Jake Bargas, of course.
They're leaving Jake Bargas around, quite a bit. Yep. But
so now here's where things get interesting. We're going to talk about this in a video coming out tomorrow. But wide receivers. So Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson are your starters. So KJ and ISM are your primary backups of those positions, followed by BC Johnson and Myron Mitchell.
Okay.
And then Tristan Jackson or Jalen Naylor and Dan Chisena. And then Albert Wilson, Thomas Hannigan, and Blake Prohl.
Okay.
He list still coming back from that ACL tear from last year. But
so this Myron Mitchell is above Jalen Naylor right now.
Yeah. So, and that's really interesting. Tristan Jackson or Jalen Naylor. Oh, I see. So Tristan or Naylor are the primary backup to Thielen, and then Chisena is the other receiver there. See, now a lot of people are kind of high on Albert Wilson. I don't see him making the team. I thought that was just a signing to fill up a spot. I personally don't see any spot for him on the team. I would rather have BC over Albert Wilson if you're asking me.
And we're not really, we don't, according to this, it's looking that way too.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Tight ends. Irv Smith, followed by Johnny Munt, Ben Ellefson, Zach Davison, Nick Muse, and Sean Byer. So I think I don't know. This one's interesting because obviously Zach Davidson kind of stepped it up in the preseason.
Right.
Ben Ellefson,
training camp.
Ben Ellefson, I hate to say I don't count him on this list because we should, but I almost count him as like a sixth offensive lineman almost because he's that blocking tight end.
Right.
Johnny Munt does a little bit of everything. I know he's coming back from a knee injury, but this is interesting. And this, I think, is going to play. Obviously, this is going to play out in preseason a lot because Irv Smith won't be there. He's not ready. He won't be here till the regular season. So we're gonna find out a lot about the tight ends in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I feel like a few of these tight ends, this isn't settled. This isn't like an obvious second string, third string, fourth string, or whatever. This is kind of, I think they're still trying to figure out who they want to be that second.
For sure. And obviously it is unofficial, so nothing really there yet. But anyway, moving on. Now this is going to be fun to see what we got going on here. Starters, Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill, as we know. Backups, Blake Brandel and Oli Udoh at right tackle. Now, I don't love Oli Udoh. I liked him last year, obviously, preseason last year. Obviously, we saw what happened regular season. He wasn't quite ready yet. Maybe he's more natural tackle, though I've heard he's gotten beat a couple of times. Blake Brandel, I know they're incredibly high on. I think where did he play for the Oregon State Beavers or something in college? But I know they're really high on Blake Brandel as being that potential swing tackle. Let's hope that you wouldn't need to replace Darrisaw and O'Neill at the same time.
Speaking of that, Darrisaw is a monster so far in training camp. And
the Viking staff are comparing him to Williams.
Yeah, Williams.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the best left tackle in football, and they're comparing him to him potentially down the road.
Best left tackle in football, and he's getting kind of how old? He's like early 30s or something now, right? Something like that. But
Williams, yeah. So that's exciting. Then Vidarian Lowe and Timon Paris. Timon, that's I just think of Lion King. I never see that name. But anyway, so Blake Brandel, Oli Udoh is going to be on the depth chart, but I think Blake Brandel will be the guy that would replace either of these two in result of injury there. Moving on to your starters on the interior. Ezra Cleveland, Garrett Bradbury, Jesse Davis. No surprises there.
So they have Chris Reed as the backup left guard here.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting because it kind of goes against. And obviously, we recorded our video for tomorrow already, so we talk about this a little bit. So at that point, it is what it is. But because I had heard we had both heard Chris Reed was also getting in at center. So I think there is some. I think there definitely is some truth to that as well. But Austin Slotman, I know him at center as well, which is kind of what he was signed for, and he's been getting work at right guard. And then obviously Ed Ingram getting some work at right guard as well.
But they've definitely seemed to put Chris Reed more in that left guard spot, at least for this. And then Ed Ingram's looking to definitely taking a hold of that second string right guard so far.
Yep. And then third team, you got Kyle Hinton, Josh Sokol, and Wyatt Davis. Wyatt Davis is disappointment. Kyle Hinton, we haven't really heard a lot on him. I know he was a 7th round pick, big kid, fast, big hitter. I think he played for Washburn or something like that in college. I don't know. That's interesting. But third team, they'll get some run, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. This right here is the part of the team I'm most excited to see what happens with, because there's a lot of options.
Right.
Roster notes: Kirk Cousins and first team skill players have not changed from week 1 of 2021 season. Oh, so everything's kind of the same there.
Yeah.
Interesting. O'Neal played every offensive snap, and so did Ezra Cleveland. Right guard is potentially the only new starter, with the veteran newcomer Jesse Davis currently listed ahead of Ingram, a 2nd round pick this spring. Irv Smith's open term week 1 of the regular season. That's cool. Nice to hear that. Now we move on to the defense. This is we already know a lot of this. Defensive ends, which it is a 3-4 now, so the defensive end position is a lot bigger guys. Delvin Tomlinson and Armon Watts, with backups being Jonathan Bulliard and James Lynch, Jalen Twyman and Azizi Odamewo, and then Julian Taylor is on the depth chart as well. I'm excited.
Twyman's on the third stringer.
Yeah. James Lynch, when he got in last year, he made impact. I think he's going to be one of the primary rotational guys. Jalen Twyman is a guy I'm really excited to see what happens. Obviously, unfortunately, with the incident in Washington, D.C. last year, he missed the season recovering from the gunshot wounds. But man, just seeing the pictures of him, the guy is absolutely massive. He's been he worked out with Aaron Donald. I know they went to the same college. They worked out together.
It's like mini Aaron Donald.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, there's been some mixed reviews, but hopefully, he's young. Keep him on the roster, and let's see what happens with him. Moving on to nose tackle, starter Harrison Phillips, of course. Backups Ty Smith, Ty McGill, and Tyrese Stevenson. TJ McGill or TJ Smith. Sorry, and then Ty Smith. Whatever initials.
Yeah, you got it.
Like whatever. But Harrison Phillips, of course, starting at the center. So that'll be interesting. Delvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips, Armon Watts with Zadarius Smith and Daniil Hunter on the outsides of them. That is sexy time right there. Speaking of the devil here, Daniil Hunter, Zadarius Smith, backups Pat Jones II and DJ Wanham. I've heard
Pat Jones, Janarius Robinson.
I haven't heard a ton, but I have heard some rumblings that he's actually been playing pretty well so far throughout camp. So that's cool. DJ Wanham, we kind of know what we have in DJ Wanham as well. Luigi Villain and
though people are saying that DJ Wanham, it can be more naturally out of an outside linebacker spot than he was lined up defensive.
I think that's what he played at South Carolina in college. So Janarius Robinson is one that everybody's really interested in. A lot of raw potential. Hurt last year, so didn't play. But it'll be interesting to see what he can do here. Moving on to the third team, Andre Mincy, Zach McLeod. I know I was watching a Purple for the Win video, and he was talking about Zach McLeod and said he thinks that he has a good chance to make the roster. He's been, he might be like, he had him potential Mr. Mankato candidate because of how well he's been playing. He said he thinks that with a good preseason, he could sneak onto the roster. So interesting stuff there. So moving on to inside linebackers, Eric Hendricks, Jordan Hicks, not surprising.
Brian Asamoah's got second string.
What's that?
I said Brian Asamoah with the second string spot right now.
Yeah, I love me some Brian Asamoah, as well as Troy Dye. Troy Dye, when he played last year, played really well as well. Chaz Surratt. Now, I have heard not one peep about Chaz Surratt this whole time. So, and I think it was actually, I can't remember who tweeted it, but they said it was almost, it might have been, I don't remember, was it Rick Sosa even who might have tweeted that he thought Chaz Surratt, Wyatt Davis, and Kellen Mond were kind of like Spielman picks who didn't really turn out. And that's definitely the case with them. I mean, who knows? Maybe Chaz Surratt will surprise us in the preseason, but so far I'm not. I don't know. Blake Lynch also very solid. Ryan Connolly, was he the Minnesota Gopher? Minnesota? I don't remember. I think he did.
Know. I don't
the name.
So.
The name sounds familiar. Anyway, middle linebacker is on the pup list, and then William Quenku as well. So nothing really super surprising there. I love seeing.
I would say, I love seeing Asamoah's in the second string.
Yeah.
So that means he's doing something
for sure
to put himself, especially like Chad Surratt was still a 3rd-round pick last year. But
corners, let's see what they're rolling with. Patrick Peterson and Cam Dantzler. All right, backups. So now this is interesting because they're kind of grouping all the corners together. I think they're thinking more base, where though nickel is kind of the base defense these days.
Right.
But anyway, so if you're doing a traditional defense, Pat Peterson and Cameron Dantzler are your starters. Shondon Sullivan, Andrew Booth are the backups. And then obviously down the line, Chris Boyd, Caleb Evans, Perry Nickerson, Harrison Hand. Harrison Hand is kind of taken. Last year he was shining in camp. Yeah, he's kind of taken a back seat now, which is kind of unfortunate because I did like Harrison Hand a couple years ago when he got in. And then Nate Hairston, a free agent signing from Denver, and as well as Ty Smith. So I think Shondon Sullivan is the front runner to be the starting nickel corner. Right. So and maybe Andrew Booth. I don't know if Andrew Booth could take over nickel and have Patrick Peterson, Andrew Booth, and Cam Dantzler all on the field at the same time.
It's so hard though because Andrew Booth is like, I think his best ability is for interceptions on the outside, like covering receiver and jumping up for interceptions, which you're not going to see that in the same way playing in the slot as a cornerback. I don't think.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. Chris Boyd. Chris Boyd is a personality, man. I love Chris Boyd, the person. Chris Boyd, the player, has a little bit yet to prove, but he's made some good plays. Obviously, there was the game against Pittsburgh last year where he had the penalty that kind of set things in motion for Pittsburgh, but he's got potential for sure. So let's hope this, if Ed Donatel can get something out of him, maybe him and Zimmer didn't get along. Might have been some issues there, but Chris Boyd, love the personality. Hopefully as the player, he comes along well and makes the roster. We'll see. Then safeties, of course, Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum with Lewis Cine and Josh Metellus as backups, and Miles Dorn and Mike Brown. I'm curious to see how many safeties we keep on the roster. 4 would be the smart number, but if you're looking at another roster spot somewhere, I could see 3 where you keep Hand, Bynum, and Cine. But Josh Metellus has also been on the team for a couple years, and then Miles Dorn has been on the practice squad, I believe, last couple. So this will be interesting to see how many safeties they decide to keep. All right, and there you have it for the Minnesota Vikings unofficial depth chart. We'll see you guys next time on the GG Sports Podcast.
Skol Vikes.